Hey guys, so I am joined today by Oki's Weird Stories, a YouTube channel you might know. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about Donnie Darko because I released a video on Donnie Darko earlier this week. But, in a video that's only 18 and a half minutes long or, give or take 30 seconds, I think it's almost 19 minutes long. But in the video that's only that length for a film like this, I can't really get as much in depth as I want because, video essays just have a certain limitation to them. There's a lot of things that I know that I have to cut out for pacing reasons or for a multitude of other reasons. So, Oki, you watched Donnie Darko, I think, again, yesterday. If you want to introduce yourself, tell us about your channel and what you do.
All right, yo. I used to be on this channel a few times, We used to have another channel. We used to do podcast called the KinoKast. I know that Kino has a lot more newer viewers now, but that's a deep cut. You can try and find that.
It's a very deep cut. Well, you know what? It might not be as a deep cut now because the video that I released 3 weeks ago, recommending 10 movies for people to watch, I recommended The Man Who Stole the Sun.
Yeah, and you mentioned the podcast.
And I mentioned the KinoKast. We only had 9 episodes, 8 or 9 episodes. It was a short-lived, but you know what? It was a very Kino podcast.
It was every episode was a total banger. I'll tell you something. All right, so like my channel, basically, I make documentaries on YouTube. I think that there's a lot of people who they say that they make documentary style stuff, but the difference between my channel and a lot of those channels is I actually go out there and I meet people who firsthand involved with the story. I interview them on camera, I get exclusive footage, exclusive images, it's more like a real, a documentary than a YouTube documentary. So
yeah, especially your newest one felt more like a real document. YouTube documentaries tend to be, using a lot of archival footage, not really talking to people that are involved, but coming to their own conclusions about things. I don't like the term YouTube documentary because I just call them YouTube videos.
Yeah. A lot of people say documentary style. I know that was a big thing John Swan used to say. There's a few other people that I've seen do that. But yeah, for the most part, I feel a lot of those are they're good for what they are. But I think what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to push my content further and because I like filmmaking. I love films. I want to be a filmmaker. So that's what, I'm trying to accomplish on YouTube as it's just a platform.
Well, I mean, I'd say that you're already a filmmaker.
Oh, thank you, King. That's very nice of you. Yeah.
But anyway, so what we're going to talk about today is Donnie Darko, as I said earlier. And I wanted to just go a little bit more in depth. I had some people tell me that even though the video sort of elucidated a few things about Donnie Darko, it also made it a little bit more confusing in a sense. And I think that starting off, I think that it's a movie where it's better if you understand that maybe you're not going to understand everything.
Yeah.
And you just say, I'm just going to give myself to the film and I'm going to feel the emotions of Donnie Darko. And I'm not going to necessarily try to piece everything together. Obviously Richard Kelly has pieced everything together in a certain way, but I don't think that that's necessarily the only way to interpret the film. And I said this in my video where I said, look, you don't even have to agree with Richard Kelly's view of the movie, because I think that it's some people think, oh, well, the director said that this movie meant this specifically.
Yeah.
But I do kind of believe in death of the author.
Yeah.
And it's there's plenty of other things that he might have unconsciously or subconsciously sort of put into there that doesn't necessarily align with what he consciously says is the meaning of the film. So in the video, I highlighted the sci-fi story of the film, or the sci-fi explanation, the Twilight Zone explanation of the movie, where he goes into a tangent universe at midnight, it goes into a tangent universe. He's in this tangent universe, and he's trying to sort of bring the world back to the primary universe by setting up the right conditions to create this time portal that essentially, like, it's that in the tangent universe he doesn't die, but in the primary universe he dies, and the fact that he dies is what keeps the world going. Like, it's like something happens that's not supposed to happen, and he has to set up the correct situation so that the right thing happens, so that the world can keep going. And with this idea, you can almost think that, like, this happens all the time in this world, the world of Donnie Darko, because everybody else kind of is dreaming this tangent universe. Like, it's like this very intense dream for everybody, but it's like everyone forgets their dream. So how many times has this happened, right, in our world, which is kind of a cool thought, where we've actually gone into a tangent universe because something that was supposed to happen didn't happen, but it brought us back, and it's like this loop. But that's only one way to view it. I think that that's the way that the director's cut wants you to view it, but the theatrical cut makes it a little more vague. I think it makes it more about mental illness, because they don't have the bit in the theatrical cut where his therapist says that he's been given water pills or like placebos.
Oh, okay. So I watched the director's cut then.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so in the theatrical cut, it's not actually said that he's been given placebos. So you could see in the theatrical cut, and Richard Kelly has said that he likes both cuts, but that he almost sees them as, like, he sees them as two different entities in a sense, right? It's like he goes, he doesn't prefer one over the other, and I totally get that, because they almost achieve different ends. Where the theatrical cut muddies the waters a bit, and the director's cut kind of explains it a bit more.
Is that the only difference, just the placebo thing, or is there any other differences?
No, there's a lot of differences. Some of the music cues are different. I know some people like the music at the beginning of the theatrical cut a bit more, but the music at the beginning of the director's cut is actually what was originally intended in the script. The explanations from the philosophy of time travel are only in the director's cut.
Oh,
yeah. So
like the close-ups of the pages and stuff.
Yeah, that's only in the director's cut.
Huh.
So there's the scene where his dad is like, there's a conspiracy of bullshit. That's also only in the director's cut. There are some scenes that are only in the director's cut that are like pretty good, like character scenes. And then there's like a lot of what the director's cut does is it sort of makes more clear what exactly is going on, at least from Richard Kelly's perspective. I think that that's both a good and a bad thing, because I think that some of the like why a lot of people like Donnie Darko is because they can't quite explain it. But I even think that with the director's cut, there's still enough that's like unexplainable that allows there to be a sense of mystery.
You know, here's the thing about that. Like, it is the least like time travel movie I think I've ever seen. It doesn't really, like, even though it's a major plot point, it just doesn't feel like, usually, like, I don't know, you watch something like Primer and it's so fucking obvious that this, like, it's time travel. That's what's happening. But I think the first time I watched Donnie Darko, I was like fucking 13 or 14, and it didn't even occur to me. It's just a movie that you can kind of you can just watch without even trying to figure out what. That's why I think it really resonates with people, is that it's not so obviously sci-fi. It's not so obvious too that he has superpowers. Like, it's alluded to, like the fact that he has super strength when he sleeps because he's able to get the axe into that bronze statue of the bulldog. Yeah, but you never see that.
But you never see it happen. and it's very kind of subtle in how it portrays his character in that regard, that I think that, you know, he's like way more human than other characters in sci-fi films, and I think that that's really what kind of lends Donnie Darko to be able to be like somebody that you can really attach yourself to. You don't feel like he's Peter Parker. You don't feel like he's Wolverine or Iron Man or any of these characters. And that's a big problem I have with like Marvel, right? Is that these characters feel like they exist on this higher echelon, you know, these like, they're almost like in the realm of demigods in a sense, right? It's like you can never be them. And but with Donnie Darko, he's like this regular teenage boy. You know, he makes
extremely troubled guy.
Extremely troubled guy, makes edgy jokes at the dinner table that his parents get mad at him for. And you know, like a whole lot of problems, right? And yeah, just a whole lot.
You got something?
No, my friend is here taking a photo of me doing this podcast.
Oh, okay.
But he's, you know, he's literally me, right? He's a schizophrenic teenager.
Yeah, oh man, that's funny.
But the question is, like, is he schizophrenic? Does he have some sort of mental illness, or is he actually the savior of the world?
I think that they make it clear that it's not like
they make it clear
mental illness.
They make it clear in the director's cut.
Yeah, so they don't have. Do they have that same ending? The same ending with the girlfriend like surviving at the end and like
asking who he is. Same ending is in the theatrical cut.
Yeah.
But a lot of the explanation is not in the theatrical cut. So you could almost see it as like, I think that you can see the movie as maybe talking about mental illness. It can also be seen as like this surrealist film, because also the idea, right? Like you can have this idea about the movie. He goes into the tangent universe. Everyone is like a dream character in there, but they all experience everything with him in real time. But, you know, in the dream time, and the things that he uncovers about them, become known to them. Like Patrick Swayze wakes up from that dream crying. Like he realizes how much of a monster he is. You know, that in a way, Donnie Darko, through this tangent universe, through this dream, has through burning down Patrick Swayze's house and destroying the water main and doing these questionable, you know, edgy things or whatever, questionable things. What he has done is sort of acted as a kind of redeemer for some of these characters, like showing them in their most like base subconscious version of themselves, like, you are a monster, especially to Patrick Swayze's character.
Yeah, I don't remember the scene of him waking up crying. That's the only thing. Like, maybe I wasn't paying enough attention, but God,
that's during the Mad World montage.
Oh, at the end. Okay, yeah. I don't know why that didn't. Yeah, I didn't remember that. But that's such a funny kid. Actually, I had someone a few weeks ago say, "Oh, you sound like Jim Cunningham from Donnie Darko," and that was before I rewatched it. I was like,
"That's not a compliment."
Yeah, I know. I don't know why people think that guy thought I sounded like Jim Cunningham.
I have no idea. No, you don't sound like Jim Cunningham.
I don't. Yeah, at all. So it's weird. But I like that. I like that character. I like how maybe it's because I watched it when I was a kid, so I kind of had that like seed in the back of my mind that I remembered that he ends up being outed as a pedo.
Yeah.
But it was almost like, yeah, it's pretty like, oh yeah, of course, that makes perfect sense. God damn, I don't know what happened to Richard Kelly, because this was it really is a great movie. It's a great movie. And like,
it's a great, like, and what I brought up in my video too is like this how it really talks about like the suburban American experience, and I think that that's actually the most powerful part of it. Like, you know, you have the overly conservative mom that's like wanting to ban all the books in the library. You have the you have the whole fear and love. Like I know that you're Canadian, you know, not a real country, right? Like this is like an imaginary country that you live in, and
Yeah.
I'm an American, right?
Yeah.
And
So only real country in the world.
only real country in the world. Yeah, exactly. And but I had like these weird sort of I had these weird kind of it's like these motivational speakers would come to my middle school, high school, not as much in high school because I went to like a private high school, so not as much in high school as in like middle school.
Mhm.
But I remember there was one guy that was like a Vietnam vet that his whole thing was like about how you don't need to make a relationship. He's like, a relationship should not be based on what you do in the backseat of a car. And that was like the big thing that we had to learn. You know, it's like, oh yeah. And he's like, he goes, when I was in Vietnam and I had both my my legs blown off, and I saw these other Marines there, and they were disfigured, and their wives would come in and say, I'm leaving you. He says, that's what happens when you get a wife because you like having sex with her. And he's like, you know,
And this was at middle school?
yeah.
Fuck?
Yeah. So that, of course, the DARE program that we had in 5th grade, which was like I forget what DARE stands for, but it was like the anti-drug program that I think that studies actually, I think studies show that it actually increased the drug use. Because like I, for one, would have never known what methamphetamine was if it wasn't for DARE. Like as a kid, like it's like DARE's like, so let me tell you about cocaine. And 10-year-old me is like, wait, what's that? You know, like I have no idea what that is.
It makes you really productive.
Yeah, exactly. So cocaine is basically what you need if you want to be a Wall Street investment banker.
Say no to alcohol. Use methamphetamine and cocaine.
Yeah, exactly. Well, half of you guys are already on meth, and we like to call that Adderall.
Yeah. It's just gonna make you just as productive. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
just cheaper, easier to get.
Yeah, and but you know, we had stuff like that. We had all sorts of these motivational speakers with these like short-term like things that we had to do, and it was so strange. It was like all these people, even as a kid, I thought like these guys are grifters, you know, like they're total charlatans.
Oh yeah, no, dude. There's been cases of like there's quite a few people. I always get like people sending me like weird stories, and there's like a dozen or so of them of these guys who are like motivational speakers that go to schools and shit, and they're just complete bullshit. They just lie about like, or they embellish like crazy. You know?
Yeah, like, and you have them like, I remember a few of them were like ex-athletes, you know, that got
Oh, those were the ones who came to my school. Yeah, it was like usually ex-athletes.
Yeah, I think one ex-athlete was like kicked out of his whatever team he was in because of like domestic assault or something like that. And he was just like, I was in a really low point in my life. And that's when I realized that I had to change my life for the better. So kids, I'm going to tell you, this is how you change your life for the better. You get paid by the government to go to public schools to give these bullshit motivational speeches.
Yeah.
But you know, it's like what kind of person is even going around to these schools like doing these kinds of motivational speeches? It has to be like, I feel like it's a very specific kind of person.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
Somebody that I don't really have a whole lot of respect for, if I'm going to be honest. But but you know, Jim Cunningham fits into that mold.
Oh, perfectly.
Yeah,
even
perfectly.
With his fucking cheesy ass like video tapes that he sells,
which were all shot at Patrick Swayze's house in Calabasas.
Oh, that's okay. I could see, I could see that.
So everything that he wore there, because you know the budget for the movie was only $4.5 million.
Yeah.
So a lot of the stuff that they had to do, just like his whole wardrobe was like actually from his actual wardrobe. Like his wife dressed him for the movie. Patrick Swayze's wife did, and she was like, "This is his '80s. Like this is what he wore back in the '80s," and so that's like what he wore for the film.
Dude, it's so funny in those videotapes. You just like not only the fucking quick zoom thingy, but then also that part where the fucking boom mic just falls right
So Richard Kelly was talking about that, and he was like, he said, yeah, he goes, the sound guy was like, what? Because Richard Kelly, when he was directing that, was like, okay, now lower your mic. Like, I want it in the frame. And the sound guy was like, what? And
Why
he's
you
like,
want?
I want it lower it in the frame. He's like, no, I'm not doing that. He's like,
Yeah.
just lower it in the frame. And he's like, why? And he's like, just do it. So he like lowers it in the frame. And Richard Kelly was talking in one of the commentaries about like that the sound guy just like did not understand why he wanted it to lower in the frame, but it works so well in the film.
It's so funny because it's right near like the end, like right at like the last few frames.
Yeah.
It's just like, whoop.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really good, well timed.
And I like it's almost like how they shot that was almost like proto Adult Swim, like the kid going, I'm not afraid anymore, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
You know what it reminds me of? It's like fucking Martin Scorsese for Goodfellas hiring a TV director, TV commercial director to do all the Maury's wigs
yeah.
commercials.
Oh yeah.
It's like really fucking cheesy, silly, like, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a like, I mean, that was such a nice touch. They actually shot that the week before the main production started. And I think that, I mean, to start a film like that would be, I think, a really fun way to start a film where it's like, he was just at Patrick Swayze's house shooting all that.
Yeah.
And it's quite amazing, like the actors that he was able to get on because, I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal was a nobody at that time. He was only in October Sky before this.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. I've seen that movie. Yeah, that's the
October Sky's really good. It also has Laura Dern as his teacher.
The movie where they like fucking with the rocket.
Yeah,
like
they're in West Virginia in a coal mining town.
Yeah.
And he's making the rocket.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I remember that. Yeah. I've seen that twice actually, but I don't remember all the details of that movie.
It's a good movie. Like it's a really good movie. But October Sky was like his only starring role before this, and I think that this was like his third film role.
Before or after Bubble Boy?
Maybe before.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you go to his IMDb, I think it's just October Sky and then like one other credit before. What's really funny about Jake Gyllenhaal. So I watched all the B-roll, you know, of like behind the scenes footage and everything.
Yeah.
I watched all of it in preparation for the video. And he is the biggest goofball. Like seeing him behind the scenes and just imagining like getting a sense of who Jake Gyllenhaal is as a person, you would not think that he's like the actor to be in Nightcrawler or Enemy.
Yeah.
Like he was the biggest, like I have never seen an actor be as big a goofball on set as Jake Gyllenhaal.
It is funny that usually that seems to be the case where it's like people, they kind of surprise you like with the way that they present themselves and then what they're capable of actually is it feels incongruous, like fucking, like Paul Thomas Anderson dresses like a homeless dude. And like he's like a California beach bum, but he's like one of the most competent directors of like all time. Like it's great.
And with Jake Gyllenhaal, I remember listening to some commentary by the cinematographer of Donnie Darko, who's an older cinematographer, and he said to Richard Kelly when they first started, like Richard Kelly was only 25 when they filmed Donnie Darko, and he was like, "Hey,
crazy.
Yeah, it's insane." And he was like, "Hey, Richard, don't worry about the age difference. Like, as of today, we're the same age. Like, we're working on the same project.
Oh, that's
like,
good to have.
This is not, I don't care about the fact that I'm 25 years older than you or however older than you than I am." He's like,
it must be intimidating too. That's the thing. That's good to have someone like fucking,
Yeah. I mean, it has to be super intimidating. Working with anybody like he's like more experienced and you're just getting into it, because he wrote Donnie Darko right after he got out of film school. And he wasn't okay. So this is from what I was able to gather, is that he was like, he went to, I think USC or UCLA. He went to one of those film schools in LA, in Southern California. And he was like, I have to do something. I have to do something to like get my name out there to actually make something. So he wrote Donnie Darko, and a lot of Donnie Darko, and this is why I think that the movie works, because a lot of Donnie Darko is really based on his own life. It's like he took his own like suburban life growing up in Virginia,
Oh, and then added all.
and then
Yeah,
added the sci-fi elements to it. And I
that's
think that,
why it
yeah,
feels way more grounded than I think a lot of his other work. I think.
yeah, well, it feels way more grounded, obviously, than Southland Tales because it's grounded in
More
his own
common, huh?
experiences. Yeah, and it's like you can tell that these teachers that he has in there were teachers that he had
Yeah,
as a teenager, and you can tell that the like everyone acts like a real person, and every like and the funny thing is, and I said this in the video, that by creating something personal, he made something universal in the
mhm.
sense that a lot of these characters feel very personal, but they're also almost like archetypal suburban characters, archetypal like high school students, but not in a way that feels like it's trying to be tropic or it's trying to be stereotypical.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't really have that like cynical like. I don't know. A lot of movies do this where like that lady, like the really annoying fucking conservative lady who's like a huge Jim Cunningham stan.
Hmm.
Like I think that's probably the most like big like obvious like, oh, this is a caricature. Like
But
but otherwise like,
even
yeah,
then, he had like, even then, and he's even said it himself that it's the thing about her is that she is still just trying to do what she sees as the right thing to do.
yeah.
She's not like this like
She's not
evil.
malicious.
She's not malicious in any way. And the thing
Yeah.
is, she sets up, she's still fighting for Jim Cunningham. And it's really not because she likes what he does or she condones what he does. It's because he's like, he said this in one of his commentaries where he's like, just think about like somebody that you really looked up to, somebody that was like your hero. All of a sudden is like people are telling you he's a monster.
Yeah,
Right.
well, you're gonna reject
And
it. You're not gonna
you're going to
accept that.
reject it. You're going to be like, no, this can't be true. This can't
Yeah.
be true. And it's like her whole worldview is crashing in on herself in the third act. And she's like, this can't be true. I have to defend him because then that means that like all this stuff I was doing, I was, like I was going against my own morals and my own ethics. And
Mhm.
um, it's not coming from a place of her actually defending his actions. It's coming from a place of her just like, like rejecting reality because the reality is too harsh for her to even handle.
Mhm. Yeah, I think in a lesser movie, that character would have been like, "I'm gonna get you, Donnie Darko," like and like
Yeah.
trying to fucking like sabotage or like trying to nail him down because she hates him for some reason.
Yeah.
But it's just like literally the only reason that they have a character like that would be for like conflict, and that's it. And it's just false. It falls flat in that when that
And
happens.
there's a lot of characters that like for as plot heavy as Donnie Darko is, there's a lot of characters that don't really contribute to the plot, but just kind of add to the world, like the Chinese girl.
Yeah, I like that character.
Yeah.
I think that's like really good touch.
And it's just like this girl who's bullied, because she's foreign and she's overweight and she's, everyone kind of like doesn't care that she's bullied and she's still sort of pressing on. She still does the talent show thing. And like it's almost like the whole town rejects her in a sense. Cause they're like, okay, now it's time for sparkle motion. This is what you all been waiting for, like right after her like cultural sort of like, play that she did. And of course it's this like, what everyone's waiting for is this kind of exploitation of
It's
these young
cuties.
girls. It's cuties, yeah.
That's what I was thinking about when I was watching this. Like,
Yeah.
the fuck, who turned on cuties?
But it's so funny because and that's also led by the conservative woman.
Oh yeah.
And she doesn't even see it as exploitation.
No, she doesn't.
No, she's like, no, this is like great for this is going to be great for their upcoming career. She's thinking like, we put so much in it, what's the really great line? She goes, I doubt your dedication to sparkle motion or something like that. I'm having
no, here, if you feel like puking, swallow.
Yeah, if you feel like you can swallow.
And then she goes up to the mom later on. She's like, "You're the last person I thought about doing this.
Yeah.
But can
No,
you
it's
take the kids on a trip?"
it's so funny because I was in the there's been a few director's commentaries, but in one of the director's commentaries, Richard Kelly was talking about that line. She's like, you're the last person I would have asked, you know.
Yeah.
But he's like, he said, when I was writing this, I didn't see her as saying this maliciously, but is almost saying this to be like almost like apologetic, because she knows that like Donnie's mom, Miss Darko, would be the last person to even do it, you know.
Yeah.
And
Okay. Yeah. That
she's
makes
trying to
sense.
be apologetic, like she's I like she's saying it wrong, right?
Yeah.
She's saying it in a way that sounds bitchy, but really what she means is like, I'm at the end of my rope.
The other thing that makes it kind of like not really feel like I think the way he intended it is that the mom is being incredibly sarcastic.
Oh,
throughout
the mom
whole
is being
thing.
the mom is being incredibly sarcastic, but that also, you know, is, I think, I don't know if that's based on Richard Kelly's mom. He didn't really get into that so much.
Mhm.
But it's like the mom is like, she knows that she has to play the game in a sense to be a
Yeah.
part of this community. Like there is a certain politic that kind of comes with like having
is that?
kids.
What is that fucking thing in America you guys have? The home association.
Oh,
Homeowner.
homeowners
Yeah.
association, HOA.
That's like fucking. I don't know. That scares me. Like just having.
I'm
People
not in an HOA.
Oh, that's
Um,
good. That's good, man.
yeah.
That shit, like, man, that would piss me off.
Oh yeah, having like random other people like tell you like, oh, you have to have your grass cut this way and that way
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Well, wasn't that like the whole? Remember the movie Karen? Like it was the HOA that like.
Yeah, she led the HOA.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
is there
led
a
the
thing?
HOA. Yeah,
Yeah. Of
That's
course, Karen led the HOA.
well, that's a. You mean Lakeview Terrace for straight to video?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
that's literally the movie. It's the races are reversed. It's like Karen. But I think when we did that podcast, I don't think you ever released it.
I don't know if we released that one. Yeah.
I like fucking. I should like. I went plot point by plot point, being
Yeah.
like, this literally happens in Lakeview Terrace, and then
Yeah.
Karen did the exact same thing.
Except it's Samuel L. Jackson doing it on Lakeview Terrace.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But yeah, so with Donnie Darko, it's really interesting where his mom has to sort of play this political role, and so she still has her daughter in Sparkle Motion, but obviously like his mom's not really like into that so much. She doesn't care about it that much, but she knows that it matters to her daughter. And actually, Donnie Darko's parents are really good parents.
Yeah,
They
no, they're
care,
great. Yeah,
they care a lot about him. They don't really know what's going on. You know, they have him see this therapist, and this therapist doesn't. No one has any clue what's going on because it's like happening. It's like the supernatural thing that's happening. And actually, in the script, it's a bit more obvious that he's being like guided by God in a sense. He's being used as like this prophet sort of figure, you know. And but like when we think about like if there was a prophet today, right, doing these kind of miracles like what Donnie Darko does, we would probably think of them as schizophrenic or think of them as insane people.
Mhm.
You know, so it kind of finds that sort of that gray area there. And something that I wanted to also point out is that Richard Kelly never saw himself as Donnie Darko, but I was watching a whole lot of interviews with Richard Kelly, and I realized that like his mannerisms, the way that he spoke, a lot of the stuff that he did, I was like, man, that's just like Donnie Darko. Like he really reminds me of Donnie Darko.
I don't think I've ever seen him.
And then
in an
Richard,
interview.
he acts just like Donnie Darko. And so then in an interview or in a commentary somewhere, he said that maybe a few weeks into production, Jake Gyllenhaal came to him and was like, hey, yeah, like, or he was talking to Jake Gyllenhaal about like why he was doing certain things, you know, like, why are you choosing to do this, and they're having a discussion about why he was acting like how he was acting in the film, and Jake Gyllenhaal said, "Oh, I'm just copying how you act." So there's a reason why Richard Kelly is just like Donnie Darko, is because Jake Gyllenhaal was just like copying Richard Kelly's mannerisms for the movie.
Then he must be incredibly edgy, because like, I mean, Donnie Darko, like, I mean, the way that Jake Gyllenhaal played that character was like almost, it was perfect for like what you like. You called it earlier, like, oh, the literally me character, the super edgy, disturbed.
Yeah, you gotta wait till
fucking,
8th grade to pop one out. And it's just like, what does pop one out mean?
Yeah, it's just a complete, just
it's like, why would you ever say that at your family's dinner table?
No, why would you go up and like fucking start like getting pissed off at this guy, this motivational speaker guy, and like,
I think you're the fucking Antichrist.
I think you're the fucking Antichrist. But like, even the little things, just like the way like he fucking walks, and he randomly just starts laughing when like Frank appears in the theater. It's just like,
yeah,
he's a weird guy.
He's a weird
strange, dude. Like very emo type person.
Well, it's so funny because the movie came out in 2001, and that was like the kind of near the beginning of the whole emo culture. Like I think 1999 brought us like Brand New, Taking Back Sunday, like all these like emo bands. Emo was becoming like a thing back then, and Donnie Darko, especially with the way that he carried himself, wearing that skeleton outfit, with the hoodie over it, and being like really moody all the time.
Yeah, he looks like what Tom Dark wants to be.
yeah, exactly. And my friend's dog is just next to me. That's what I'm petting.
I saw. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like that definitely was a movie that really inspired, I think, a lot of emo people. I even had a person, one of my friends, text me a couple months ago, and she said that she couldn't wait for me to do a video on Donnie Darko, because she's a little bit older than me, and she's like, I was really emo back then, and Donnie Darko is my favorite movie. And so
it makes sense.
Yeah. And she's like, I was a real emo, so I love Donnie Darko. And it makes sense, like watching the film, even though the movie takes place in 88, 89, late 80s, maybe 88, because it was
I think it's Bush. 88 because he shows the
it was Bush versus Dukakis.
Yeah, that, but it also right at the beginning on the medication, the prescription on the medication that he got filled, it says 1988.
Yeah. So it's 88 because it's the whole presidential election of Bush versus Dukakis. And for people who are looking like really into like the whole like, oh, what's the Bush versus Dukakis thing? You know what Richard Kelly said about that is that he just wanted to show that Maggie Gyllenhaal's character of Elizabeth Darko had a different political opinion than her parents.
Yeah, she was rubbing it in too. She would like write on the whiteboard.
Yeah,
caucus and
conservative parents versus a liberal kid. And it's honestly like what he said is he said, I think it's good when a family can have differing opinions and they can still be a family. And he's like, that's the reason why it's in there. So
you know what kind of stands out to me too? And this is like fucking kind of silly to say, but Maggie Gyllenhaal was hot. She was hot. Like, I don't understand like what happened. It's like, that fucking part in Batman where the Joker's just like, hello, beautiful. And it's like, she's beautiful, but back then, I don't know. She looked like Rashida Jones or something.
No, she was hot. And don't worry for all the people going, isn't she like a high schooler? She was like 23 when they made that movie. So
she wasn't even in high school in the movie. She was in college or something. She was
on like wasn't she on a gap year?
Yeah, she was. Yeah, she wasn't in high school.
She was on a gap year and she got into Harvard. And she was dating Frank.
Was she dating Frank?
Yeah, Frank is her boyfriend.
Wait, where was that? Because I don't even know that was.
So this is very just subtle in the film. Like, it's subtly implied at the Halloween party when he goes down to the refrigerator, it says Frank went on a beer run, or it says something along those lines. Frank went on a beer run. And earlier in the film, you see Frank's red Trans Am drive past him, and you hear the car honking outside the house. It's very subtle, but Frank is Elizabeth Darko's boyfriend.
Huh.
Yeah.
By the way, the thing I gotta mention about the Frank stuff, like at the end, right before he runs over the girl.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't understand how his car ended up going onto the lawn or wherever she was. I don't know if was she in the middle of the road?
Yeah, she was in the middle of the road because Seth Rogen jumped her.
And then the other thing, yeah, that felt so like, just like, I know that they made a point like, oh, Deus ex machina at that point or something. Like, I think Jake Gyllenhaal literally says that while they're getting jumped, or maybe it was before or after that. Maybe I'm confused, but it literally just felt like contrived narrative thing so that the girl can die. It just felt
that kind of goes in. So I think the way to see Donnie Darko, especially like when thinking about the scene in particular, is that nobody is really. It's kind of like Donnie is like the one sim, right, that you're like controlling. So it's like your sim, and like say you're playing The Sims 2 or 3. Not we don't talk about everybody
else's NPCs.
We don't talk about Sims 4, but yeah, everyone else is like NPCs, and they're all like on. They're almost like working like a clockwork in a sense, and Donnie is the one who is the most like awake. It's like he's a lucid dreamer in this tangent universe. Everyone else is NPCs, and that's why they have the little like tunnels, spears come out of their chests. And I remember somebody was like, "So are you saying it's water? Like this makes less sense." But it's like, well, it presents itself as water, but that doesn't mean that it's actually water. It's just like that's how this kind of stuff presents itself. But even Donnie can see where his where fate or where this kind of will is leading him to. He still goes along with it, but he does have the ability to not do it. It has to even goad him to be like, come, like follow me. That's how he finds the gun. And but everyone else is kind of on these like set paths, like they're kind of sleepwalking, which is ironic, right? Because in the film, he's like the sleepwalker. He's like one with God or one with heaven or the aliens or whatever you want to believe in. But he's like one with this other force while he's asleep. But in reality, everyone around him is kind of in this sleepwalking state, and he's the one that's like awake. So basically, it's like God or whoever is overseeing this. We'll just call him God because it's the easiest explanation. Is trying to sort of right things that have run, like things kind of went off course, right? And he's trying to right things that are wrong. So it's like everybody coalesces at the cellar door. Even like the teacher, Drew Barrymore's character, like has cellar door on her.
Yeah, right at that like
thing, which is cluing Donnie Darko into going to Grandma Death's cellar door. Like everything is leading to Grandma Death's place, right? Of putting that letter in there, sending that letter to Grandma Death. But it's even leading other characters there who want to rob Grandma Death. And I believe that it was set up, but like, it's like this kind of. I think that the Donnie Darko makes more sense when you see it as like this one boy is living in this almost like simulation of reality in which he has to almost destroy the simulation and thus destroy himself in order to bring reality back to itself.
Okay, and, I see what you mean. Oh.
So that's kind of that I think is the easiest explanation of Donnie Darko, but I do think that if you want to see it as like but what I don't like about a lot of modern film discourse, right, is where people say, oh, this is the explanation and that's it. But it's like a lot of these movies, they touch on a lot of different things, some things more than others. And obviously Donnie Darko is very inspired by the Twilight Zone. It's very inspired by a lot of sci-fi films and such. But it does also touch on mental illness, it also does touch on family dynamics, 80s culture, and all these other things, and these other really interesting things. And I think that just, it's like, it's not just about the time travel stuff. It's not just about the tangent universe stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, there's multiple interpretations there that you can, or you could just literally just watch it at face value and be a 13-year-old. Like the first time I watched it, I just enjoy it for like what it is. Yeah,
exactly. And I think that actually makes for a really great film. And I think that's why Donnie Darko has like become a cult, like a genuine cult classic. I hate it when people say like, oh, this movie is a cult classic, and it's like, dude, that made $10 million at the box office. It's not a cult classic. It's like Donnie Darko
is like something that like grows over time very slowly.
Yeah, like Donnie Darko bombed. It did really poorly. It only released in 50 theaters, and it was so Newmarket Films. So they showed it at Sundance, and there were like a lot of people booing it at like it had really mixed reactions at Sundance.
Really?
And it didn't get picked up at all. And so then it was like 4 months went by, and there was nobody coming to them wanting to distribute the films. And they were like, oh my God, like this movie's going to die. Like this is it. And it was Newmarket Films came. I believe that Newmarket Films had recently released Memento. I could be wrong, but they had been working with Christopher Nolan, and they did a showing of the movie with Christopher Nolan. Basically, Christopher Nolan watched the movie in the theater, and Christopher Nolan afterwards was like, yeah, you guys need to pick this film up. You guys need to acquire this.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so Christopher Nolan was like, you got to do it. He said, the only criticism I have, he says, maybe some of your title sequences can be a little bit different. You can use a different font. But he goes, no, it's just this movie needs to be seen by people. You guys got to pick it up. So Newmarket Films picked it up on Christopher Nolan's request. And they initially were not going to put it into cinemas, and they were going to just do a straight to video release of it. And then one of the producers was like, hey, why don't you go talk to Drew Barrymore? So they went to Flower Films office, which is Drew Barrymore's production company. And Drew Barrymore just did the typical, she seems like one of the sweetest people in Hollywood. She just did this, the sweet, you guys, I can't wait until you guys put this into movie theaters. I'm so excited to see it in the theater. They're like, what? Well, she goes, I'm going to have all my family and friends watching the theater together. And they're like, yeah, it's going to go to some theaters. Initially they weren't going to do it, but she just kind of, she was playing 4D chess, and she was just like, man, I cannot wait to see it in theaters. And they're like, okay, I guess we got to put it in theaters. And they only put it into 50 theaters, and it bombed. To also think of it like this. It's a movie about a jet engine falling into a house and killing a kid right after 9/11 happens. Like 9/11.
Was it?
So it released October. The movie released October 2001. So 9/11 was less than a month. Yeah. So it's like the worst timing for a movie release of all time. And also think about it like this too. He finds the gun, right? He finds the gun and he shoots a kid that he knows. And this is right after Columbine. So it's like there's these cultural things that people are just not ready for when it comes. Very culturally sensitive things. I don't think people are necessarily ready for that in the States. They're like, no. And it only released in 50 theaters, so it's like New York, LA, maybe a few other big cities. And it did not do well. And it was like a year later, they did a UK release of it. And the UK is more divorced from all that. And people in the UK loved the movie. It actually got super popular in the UK. So then that came back to the States. People in the States were like, wow, all these people in England are saying how great this movie is. So they started watching the States. And then there was a DVD release of it. And with the DVD release, it did really well. And because of the success of the DVD release, they said, okay, well, let's do another theatrical run, but do the director's cut of it. So that's where the director's cut came out only 3 years after the original theatrical cut, is because they were like, wait, now like people like this movie.
So you got to capitalize on it.
We got to capitalize on it, you know, because often like with the redux of Apocalypse Now that happened much later after theatrical cut of Apocalypse Now, you know, a lot of these like director's cuts actually happen many years or decades. Like how long did it take for us to get the final version of a Blade Runner, you know? Mm-hmm. No. And you know, but with Donnie Darko it was only 3 years, and he was also given more money. Like the sparkle motion dance scene in the theatrical cut, well, it's the same in the theatrical and the director's cut, but he actually had to, the initial song was to a Pet Shop Boys song, but
really?
but Pet Shop Boys wanted $100,000.
Oh,
and they didn't have the money, so they had actually, because
New World's or what is Mad World's way better.
Yeah,
like I love the Pet Shop Boys though, but
it's really funny. Well, this is to the sparkle motion, their dance choreography. They did the entire scene to a Pet Shop Boys song, and because the idea was like, you know, you're on your like film festival pass for it, you pay like a very small amount of money, because the idea is that you get acquired and then the money comes in to actually like acquire these music rights. When they got acquired by Newmarket, it was not for that much money, so they didn't have the money to acquire those music rights. Mm-hmm. So they couldn't afford the Pet Shop Boys song. And he had another thing with NXS, I think, with where NXS said that they couldn't he couldn't like buy another right to music that was worth more than the NXS song. Like there was some like weird kind of legal complications. So he had to re-edit that entire scene. They had choreographed it and shot it to the Pet Shop Boys song.
Yeah, that's a bitch. That's yeah. That sounds super annoying. But although at the same time, I've done stuff where I've done it to certain music, and then I just replace it with other music, and for some reason it just works.
Yeah.
You can get lucky. You can
that
get
definitely
really
happens.
Lucky with that.
Well, he got lucky with this for sure. And what's funny about the Mad World with Gary Jules is that was like almost on accident. Like it was like Gary Jules was just fucking around. He like recorded it like with, I think somebody was working on the film, like just recorded in his house as like this little thing. And then they were like, hey, let's see how this like works at the end of the movie. And of course, and like now it's like a classic ending to a movie.
It's such a classic. And you know what? When I was like 13 and I watched this for the first time, it was around the same time that the Gears of War commercial came out.
Oh yeah,
with the same song.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
So that was like kind of like, oh shit, this is cool. Like I'm seeing this in different like cultural spaces. Like this same song for two things that are such huge cultural touchstones. Yeah.
So let me think. Is there anything? Like obviously the shooting was like, it was very low budget movie. I mean, it's 4.5 million. You know, they one of the things I want is that you know, he's in a private school in the film. It was supposed to be at a public school. He's in a private school because it was cheaper to have them wear uniforms where they could just like bulk order the same shirts.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So for any filmmakers out there, you know, if you want to make movies about schools, they shot the whole thing in LA. That's like the craziest thing is that
this doesn't look like LA at all.
Yeah, they found places in LA that looked like the East Coast. So they shot it very particularly to make it look East Coast, but it's all shot in LA. That was the craziest thing to me. They're like, yeah, we had like 3 blocks to work with. Like almost all the houses in the movie are like within 3 blocks of each other. And then that one school definitely looks like it was like a Korean school, I think. I don't know how they did it, but like props to their locations people.
Yeah. Good job on finding the Jim Cunningham's house. It's huge. Yeah, it's fucking mansion. Yeah,
exactly. And
even that statue is like really cool. The one that he puts the axe through.
Like, and the therapist office. Here's another fun fact: the therapist office and Jim Cunningham's living room are the same set, just redressed.
I could
So
see
it's
that.
the
Yeah.
same set, just redressed. And then they actually did burn down that set. That was their last day of shooting. They burned like of him burning down the house. That was like
Wait,
gasoline that he
how did they burn down the?
in the studio. They literally burned down the set that was Jim Cunningham's house.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So like this, yeah,
They just like control the fire and stuff, right?
yeah. They just had people on standby with fire hoses, but they had it burn. Like it was, they burned it all down. That was their last, the last thing that they filmed.
That's cool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that.
It'd be awesome to like just end your film by like burning down your sets and filming it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
It's like, yeah, I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah, that's very cathartic.
Yeah. But anyways, I don't know if there's a whole lot more that I want to get into. Like I know that he talks like how Richard Kelly kind of made the film, like even with the red car, you know, in the director's cut, he's playing the arcade game, right? And he's driving the red car and it goes off the road and spins out. And that is actually foreshadowing Frank's red Trans Am spinning, like running over Gretchen. And, you know, he has like a whole bunch of like little stuff in the film. And I think that it's a movie that is filled with enough little like Easter eggs. I loved the, I wanted to get to it, like that showing of the Evil Dead and the Last Temptation of Christ. It was actually
when they go to the movie theater. Yeah.
the original film that was supposed to be showing at the movie theater was Chud.
What is Chud?
Oh, so I made a video on Chud actually.
Like I know the year of the Chud, but I don't know what Chud.
Yeah, no. Chud? So Chud is cannibinoid or cannibalistic humanoid underground dweller. Cannibalistic humanoid underground dweller, something like that. But it's a movie with a guy from actually I think two guys from Home Alone. The guy who plays
Daniel Stern.
Daniel Stern is in it, and John Hurd.
Okay.
And it's about this secret government program of like putting toxic waste right like in the subways in New York, and it's creating these like monsters that are like killing and eating people.
Let me tell you something, Kino. They actually do that.
I was just in New York, and I can confirm.
Yeah, it's real.
Yeah, it's very real. Everyone in New York, stay safe out there.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in the East Village. That's where I was. I noticed a lot of chuds. I noticed a lot of chuds.
We're gonna get your YouTube account hit with misinformation.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a little warning to a Wikipedia article.
Yeah, there's gonna be a Wikipedia article saying actually there are no chuds in New York.
Actually, it does not exist. Yeah.
But yeah, so initially it's supposed to be Chud, but the rights were so just like like it was so hard to even I think that it was hard for them to know who even had the rights. It was so hard to actually get the film rights to show, because they were like, we didn't even know who had the rights. Like it was like this whole like, who owns it? Like this happens way more in film than people think. Like who actually owns this movie? You know? But Sam Raimi actually, or Sam Raimi's producer was like, yeah, just use Evil Dead. Like just use this.
That's
you know. And what happened was Evil Dead next to the Last Temptation of Christ. And as far as I know, with the Last Temptation of Christ, it actually fits in the term of thematically with Donnie Darko of like having this moment of like this like unreality that's kind of helping him come to sort of the conclusion of to die, to be a Christ figure, because Donnie Darko is a Christ figure. So, but it's also just sort of like this movie that like playing into like this suburban sort of clean town that like is against, you know, this like a controversial material like the Graham Greene short story. But Donnie Darko is like totally into it. You know, he's totally into the edgy stuff. He's into that short story that he has to read, but he's also would definitely be into Last Temptation of Christ because it was definitely edgy for 1988.
Yeah. Hugely controversial, right?
Yeah, hugely controversial. I mean, there's a photos of Paul Schrader just standing at the movie theater with like all the people protesting the movie behind him.
Kevin Smith did the same thing eventually.
Yeah.
I think
with Dogma. Yeah. I think he did that with Dogma. Yeah. But with the Evil Dead, they're at the Arrow. I think it was at the Arrow Theater, and it's in the LA area. Sam Raimi was actually driving by, and he didn't even know. Like, I don't even think I don't know if he even knew that the Evil Dead was like being used. Like, being used in the film. Like, I don't know if he okayed it or if it's like one of his producers or whatever. It was someone in his team. It might have been him, but at any rate, he drove by and he saw the Evil Dead double feature, the Evil Dead Last Temptation of Christ, and it was like the film shoot. And supposedly he stopped. He's like, "What the hell is going on here?" And he was like surprised. He was like, "What?"
Oh man.
He just happened to be driving by at the time that they were shooting that scene. I find that like a really funny coincidence.
Yeah.
But
Man.
yeah.
Well, I think we said it all, right?
I think I think I got to most, if not all of, you know, what I wanted to say. Yeah. So this is like, you know, this is the lost KinoKast episode, I guess. Well, there's a few lost ones, but this will be the one that's
there's a couple. I think there's like 2 or 3 of them that never got released.
Yeah. But this one I'm gonna release for patrons tonight. I'm gonna release this for everyone else tomorrow.
Oh, sweet. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
So this will be
that's awesome.
I'm doing the low res style of just like doing it on Zoom and then just like releasing it.
Yeah, no, he's got a good model for that. I just actually did a podcast with him the other day talking about bugs.
I met him in real life.
Yeah, like I saw that. You saw it at the Vincent Gallo thing.
Yeah, we met at the Vincent Gallo event, and he was taller than I expected him to be. I'm still taller.
I thought he was short. I thought
he was really short. I thought he was really short, but he's like 5'11".
Yeah.
And I was like, oh wow, like you're taller than I thought. I'm still taller than him. He was surprised.
You're a tall guy.
Yeah, he was surprised that I was 6'2". Yeah, he was surprised that he was like, I thought you were joking online. I'm like, no, like.
Yeah, you're like I'm like 5'9". Yeah, I remember when we were hanging out. You like kind of towered over me.
But anyways, Oki, thanks for coming on.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, it's a pleasure anytime.
Yeah, and this has been the KinoKast. And guys, for anyone who wants to know what the next video is going to be, next video is going to be on possession. Oki, and what's your next steps for your channel?
Losing weight. I'm trying to make the funniest, most amusing, and most interesting weight loss movie of all time.
Awesome. It'll be the opposite of Super Size Me, which is boring and also about weight gain.
It's literally, it's going to be the opposite of Super Size Me. Yeah.
Awesome.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Oki, for coming on. It's been an awesome time. And,
all right, Kino.
Yeah, I'll see you all in the next video.
See you guys.
And yeah.